Listen, I'd say I'm a pretty silly guy. I like to indulge in some tomfoolery and some hijinks. Maybe even some shenanigans here and there. I loved silly bands when I was a kid. I had a lot of fun collecting and trading them. Like, that was the most important thing in my life at that point. And as fun as it was, I think everybody kind of knew that it was a fad. Like, I don't think a whole lot of people were invested in the future of silly bands, like storing it in their fire safe box. You got your birth certificate, your social security card, and your Kim Kardashian silly bands. You know what they say, the dopest bands, they stretch out the fastest. They get their 15 minutes of fame and then everybody kind of agrees it's time to move on. That is, unless you're Robert Croak, the inventor of silly bands.
What's up, TikTok?
If that's the case, then you make a DS game and a movie, and then you pay a bunch of TikTokers to try and bring your product back from the dead. And then you try and use the nostalgia that people have for your old product, and you try and sell them NFTs. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive. I guess there's not really that much to go over. So maybe like a wade instead of a deep dive. You guys come take a wade into the shallow end of silly bands with me. Back in 2010, silly bands were everywhere, transcending fashion and becoming more of a status symbol than anything else. It was simple. The more bands you could stretch under your tiny prepubescent arms, the cooler it made you. And believe me, you do not want to be the loser that didn't have any silly bands. And see, class, this is why it's so important to have a savings account. Because you never know when a recession is gonna hit and you're gonna lose your job, just like Jimmy's dad. And then you're gonna be so poor you can't afford silly bands. Like this loser right here. Come on, everybody, join in. Loser! Loser!
We're in a tough financial spot. It could happen to anybody.
I mean, it was brutal out there. You never expect somebody to talk to you like that as a kid, especially the teachers. I don't think silly bands fever is something that you can fully understand without having lived through it. It fully engulfed my elementary school, becoming so distracting they just ended up banning them altogether.
Now, some teachers have banned them in their schools. They say children use them as projectiles and they put them around their necks. How are you addressing that?
It really hasn't hurt the sales.
Bathrooms and playgrounds turned into black markets with little 8-year-olds swapping bands like it was Wall Street.
Thanks a lot.
And that's where I learned the art of negotiation. The art of the deal.
I'll tell you what I'll do. You give me the Honda Civic, and I'll give you the light bulb and the airplane.
Meet Robert Croak, Mother Nature's worst enemy and the mastermind behind silly bands.
Buy my course for $99 and I'll teach you how to drop ship and make $1 million a month.
Now, I'm not saying our boy Bobby's a fraud or anything. I'm just saying his invention looks a whole lot like these award-winning Japanese rubber bands that were made 8 years before silly bands. In 2002, Robert took a business trip to Japan where he saw these cute little rubber bands in the shape of animals. These were the results of Passkey Design's efforts to cut down on waste and promote sustainability by discouraging people from treating rubber bands as disposable. Robert saw these rubber bands and thought, I want a piece of that action. So he borrowed their idea and decided he wanted to market it towards kids as a toy. He weaseled his way into over 30,000 stores in 15 different countries. It looked like there was no stopping the craze. But there's only so much you can do with a bracelet, which meant it was time for them to start dipping into other industries. First came the bands with the celebrities, like Justin Bieber and the Kardashians.
Is this Khloe, Kylie, Kendall, Khloe, Kim, Khloe?
Along with popular IPs like SpongeBob.
Come on.
Next came the silly rings, then the rad rings, and even a movie. I mean, this had the makings of an all-time stinker. So, I knew what I had to do.
It'll be like a fun date night.
What the heck is that? Is it a movie?
It's the Silly Bandz movie.
It comes with...
Yeah, exclusive.
Let's trade some. Have you ever seen this?
No, we're gonna watch it together.
I don't like that one.
Every copy of the movie comes with a free pack of silly bands, valued at $5, by the way, so if you really think about it, I kind of got the movie for free. Maybe I did learn a thing or two from Robert.
Buy my course.
I was actually really excited to open these up. I haven't put a silly band on in forever. You could definitely tell how old the bands were. And one of them just kind of like exploded just from us using it for what it was made for. We managed to squeeze the remaining $4.80 worth of bands under our arms. With the microplastics flowing through our veins, we hit play on what would be the longest 45 minutes of my life. So how was the movie?
Right. So we just watched the movie, and it...
I'll play a few clips from the movie just so you guys can get a feel of what it's all about, because I don't think words are really going to be able to describe this.
Man, I'm a band. I'm a band. Yeah. You're a band. You're a band. Yeah.
Awesome. And a glow-in-the-dark light bulb?
Ooh, I want the rock star. And the TV. Cool.
I see you're not only beautiful, but quite bright. Let me guess, your mother was neon?
Almost anything.
I think it was part of our civic duty as a human, as part of the human race, to make sure that this movie did not go unpunished. Now with a shitty cash grab of a movie under his belt, Robert was looking to break into another billion-dollar industry. In November 2010, the now defunct Zoo Games, who were responsible for such classics like Eminem's Adventure and Eminem's Beach Party, they released Silly Bandz, Play the Craze for the DS. The game was an exact copy of Angry Birds. It let you sling Silly Bandz across 40 different levels. So you're probably wondering, why wouldn't I just spend 99 cents on the better game that has more levels? Well, you know our boy Robert. He always has something up his sleeves. Every copy of the game included an exclusive pack of Silly Bandz inside. They knew Playground Jealousy was all the marketing they would need. Little Jimmy would see Timmy with his exclusive Silly Bandz, and they knew sooner or later, he was going to be bugging the shit out of his parents to buy Silly Bandz, Play the Craze. So what kind of magic did Zoo Games cook up with this game? Let's take a look at the official product description. Silly Bandz have been stolen, and it's up to you to get them back. And that's it. So there's not really a story. Not that I really expected the Silly Bandz game to have a story, I guess. On the start menu, we get 3 options. Adventure, which is just the normal game mode. 2-player, which is a local co-op mode where you can face off against a friend to see who can get a higher score. And the collection. This is where you can gaze upon the fruits of your labor. Each world has 10 different bands, which can be unlocked in 5 different colors. Once a band's unlocked, you get to stare at it and kind of look at it bounce around a little bit. The game boasts 40 different levels for you to play on, which is about 200 levels shorter and $29 more expensive than Angry Birds. It plays the same way. You have a set number of shots with the goal of toppling the towers and freeing 3 Silly Bandz per level. You can breeze through the entire game pretty easily in under 2 hours. Some levels took as little as 10 seconds. They do have different band types to try to spice things up a little bit. You have the Star, which splits and shoots bands in 5 different directions. A Bomb power-up, which manages to have one of the saddest explosions ever. And the Paint Band. This paints whatever it touches yellow, which is the weakest building material. Okay, lock me up, take me away. I had fun playing this game. I mean, it's a clone of Angry Birds, so the gameplay itself is going to be pretty fun. It's not as polished, for sure. The level design and the theming are nowhere near as strong. But if you look past all that stuff, you know, all the original parts of the game, it's actually pretty enjoyable. After hearing that this game existed, I knew it was something that I wanted my name connected to for the rest of my life. I figured what better way to do that than setting a world record. I joined the official Silly Bandz Speedrun Discord, which consisted of 2 other members. Shout out to my boys. Now that I had all the groundwork laid out, all I had to do was practice and prepare myself for greatness. So it turns out breaking the record for the entire game was actually really, really hard. So what did I do? Did I just give up? Did I just throw in the towel? So I gave up. I decided I was going to settle for the world record in the first level of the game. And now, I'm a world record holder of the first level of Silly Bandz Play the Craze on the Nintendo DS. So why don't you go put that in your little book, Mr. Guinness? Or Mrs. Guinness? After the flop of Play the Craze, Silly Bandz looked like they ran their course. It was finally time to lay the fad to rest. Rest in peace, Silly Bandz. You'll always be my favorite way to restrict blood flow. Until January of 2022, when Robert announced on his TikTok, Silly Bandz NFTs were in the works. I don't think anybody actually ended up investing in these, but the Silly Bandz NFT Twitter account is still alive and well. Full with a link to a non-existent webpage. If any of you guys are interested, the Silly Bandz.io domain name is only $4,000 right now. Using the Wayback Machine, I was able to get onto the website and look at it, how it looked back in 2022. So we can get an idea of what Robert was really trying to do here. Every NFT was painstakingly thought out and designed by our in-house creative team with rarity and collectability in mind. Do you have any idea how hard it was to copy our designs from 10 years ago? Some people just don't appreciate art, man. Who are we trying to fool here, Robert? Dog, cat, whale, plankton. Not the cartoon, the other one. There's 4 free ones. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's all superficial anyways. Anybody that knows anything about NFTs, they know it's about the perks, baby. We're talking VIP access to NFT drops. We're talking free shipping on Silly Bandz products. We're talking special offers on future products. All things that make them giving even more money even easier. You can wear them in the metaverse though.
Check this out. Wow. So that's pretty neat.
So maybe it is worth the $213 price tag. I did join the Silly Bandz NFT Discord server. There's not a whole lot going on in there anymore. Nothing Silly Bandz related. Just people posting like memes and stuff. Except for this guy who's been sending good morning messages every single day since the server's creation. But if there's anybody you guys know or any of you guys bought one of these NFTs, please let me know in the comments. I have so many questions for you. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the Silly Bandz trend in a nutshell. Thanks for hanging out, guys. See ya!